Good morning, all. Um, you guys probably don't know me very well because I'm fairly new to this whole YouTube situation. I'm the author of a fairly well followed Facebook page called the Menopausal Mayhem Mothers, which I'm going to advertise this particular YouTube video on. So quite a lot of you are going to go, we know who you are. But yeah, basically, I hate perfection. I can't stand. Just to give you a little bit of background about me, if you've never met me before, I loathe perfection. Basically, because I can't fucking do it. Oh, and I swear quite a bit sometimes as well. I'm menopausal and have been for some time. I can't stand the idea that social media is the sales and marketing department of people's lives, where everybody's getting it right. You know, I mean, at the moment, we're in the middle of a freaking pandemic. And when I see mothers and fathers who are just cracking on with this homeschooling thing, and they've got little Billy playing the saxophone and learning maths at the same time, I basically reach for the toasting fork. And anyway, that's me for you, as Kitty would say. So I am going to touch on a subject today which nobody wants to talk about. I would have normally been interviewing somebody about this particular subject, but nobody wants to talk about it. The menopause used to be a taboo, a stigma. We're slowly but surely, you know, we're growing, we're evolving, we're growing up a little bit, which is fabulous. I think I've done my little bit there by basically being a menopausal clutterfuck. I have the memory of a hairbrush. I took the dog for his injections the other day to the vet and didn't take the dog. Not only did I just realise when I got to the vet and sat in the car, I actually got to the outside of the building and then realised that I had forgotten him completely. So, you know, that's the kind of thing I do. There are other things I do. Which I will share with you in other stories. But basically, I am a menopausal mayhem mother. I am a fuck up. And I celebrate that because I think we have got to stop celebrating perfection. We've got to stop celebrating. I'm not wearing any makeup, by the way, but I'm wearing a bit of eye makeup because otherwise I literally wouldn't be able to see me. But I haven't got any makeup on because I can't be doing with this and I don't have any filters. I am me. My boobs, you can't see. They're fairly big, actually. I'm not showing off. They're huge because I'm fat. The reason you can't see them is that they are probably about a foot below where the actual camera sits. So, yeah, do you get the gist of where I am? Anyway, subject for today's very first Just Emma Alone YouTube video is lack of libido. It's a very, very common symptom of the menopause, along with hot flushes, anxiety, the joys of the menopause. Hot flushes, anxiety, depression, tooth loss, hair loss, agoraphobia in some cases, insomnia, night sweats. But the one that doesn't really get talked about and that women are really, really shy to talk about is the lack of libido. And that means not wanting sex, just in case anybody doesn't know what that means. Okay, so we go through life basically like shag monsters. I have two teenage children who I'm not going to particularly talk about, and I have no idea what their libidos are like, just by the way. But when I was in my teens, I had a very high libido. I wanted to, it was always people that were completely out of reach and so completely out of my league. So although the sex drive was there, not an awful lot of sex was had, sadly. It's all very depressing. But however, yeah, you get enough beer down someone. I'm not saying endorsing alcohol and bringing on sex or anything like that. However, you then hit the menopause and invariably you are either married or for the first time. In my case, it was the second time. And suddenly you wake up and the thought of shagging your partner, shagging your husband is like eating a cup of cold sick. That's a little stark, okay? But yeah, it's just gone. The urge to have A good old shag, gone, absolutely disappeared. And for some women, this can be devastating, absolutely devastating. For their husbands, it is even more devastating. And on the serious side, because I run a group called Finding Me Again. If you are a lady, I'm afraid it's for ladies only. We are setting up a man's group. But if you're a lady, it can be very serious, because if your husband has a very high sex drive and you all of a sudden essentially start to rust, sorry, that's a really, really crass way of putting it. But yeah, you don't want to have sex anymore. You would far rather put the bins out, because let's face it, they go out more than we do at the moment. It can be debilitating. It can be devastating to a marriage. So I'm not taking the piss here. I'm talking about myself, okay? I was stitched up fairly recently by a tabloid newspaper. Do you know, I've just suddenly realized I've got these ridiculous things sticking out. Sorry. I was stitched up beautifully by a tabloid newspaper who asked me to do an article with a very well-known lady who I'm not going to mention, but let's just say she has very, very similar color hair to me. I'm going to try desperately to she's incredibly beautiful. And she is Swedish by origin. I am not going to name her, but I was done up like a kipper, because the whole point of the article was that apparently her marriage was in trouble because of her lack of libido. And they wanted to talk to me because I had a sense of humor about the menopause. I actually don't take it too seriously, even though I have suffered from it massively. I think some of the things I do are really funny, and the only thing that my husband doesn't find funny is the fact that I don't shag him anymore. Anyway, so I was done up by this this tabloid newspaper, because what actually happened was that they made me look in the photograph like Madge, the bridesmaid of Dame Edna Everage. I looked ridiculous. I can't tell you, I looked absolutely freaking awful. Of the 4,000 photographs they took of me, they picked the one where I looked like a dog's ass. Was it a cat's ass? I can't remember whose ass I looked like, but I didn't look good. And this Swedish, she isn't Swedish, well, her heritage is, had her leg wrapped around her husband, and they were celebrating the fact that they had this amazing sex life despite her going through the menopause. So I was absolutely done up like a kipper. And part of this article, they actually quoted me saying that if Idris Elba, now everybody who knows me from the Menopausal Mayhem Mothers on Facebook knows that I have this enormous crush on Idris Elba, and I think I publicized that because I have no chance. I don't even have that much chance. I have no chance of ever meeting the man, let alone having him. But basically, I said in this newspaper article that if Idris Elba knocked on my front door with his shirt off and him undoing his fly, I would simply offer him a cup of tea and a hobnob. And they put that in the article. The truth is, I don't ever have hobnobs, because if I had a hobnob, I'd put on another 4 stone. So, yeah, essentially, I want to just say to you today that losing your libido when you're menopausal is perfectly natural. And more men need to understand, and more women need to confess to it. So that's why I'm here. I don't want to have sex. I don't. And my poor husband is the most patient man in the world. And I think has a very, very strong right arm. I have no idea. We do spend time apart. But it is something that I think we should start to confess to. I think we should start to talk about, because it does apparently come back. I'm waiting for it. I just live in hope that, like when you don't wear earrings for a while, I'm not going to go into any further detail. But I think we should start talking about it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a perfectly natural part of having your hormones all over the place, or just simply not having any estrogen, or actually it's something to do with not having enough testosterone in your body. So HRT is something that can seriously help. But don't be ashamed of it. Talk about it. Have a laugh about it. You know, quite frankly, the thought right now, somebody mentioned this morning, I said, well, I must go and have a shower. Oh, bugger, my husband's in there. And they suggested I jumped in with him. I would rather stick hot needles in my eyes. And that's really sad, because I love him dearly. I'm going to be really careful here. The idea of fancying him, I think that's the problem. I've forgotten how to fancy anyone. I can have little fantasies about, you know, certain celebrities and beautiful men that are on the television. But yeah, the reality is, if they came on to me, which is not going to happen, but if they did, I think I'd run a mile. It's just part of my makeup right now. It's like being 8. 8-year-olds wouldn't want that. And that's I've got to be really careful with that. But do you know what I mean? It's just not there anymore. I don't have the urge. And so that's really tricky. And I think it goes back to the 1950s, where the mothers and the wives were told to lie back and think of England because it's part of your wifely duties. And I get that. But I would have to lie back and think of something else. I'm really sorry. The way that England's going at the moment, I just don't have the patriotism to put out just because of England. However, there it is. I've put it out there. Let's talk about it. If anyone who is watching this, anybody that is interested in talking to me, let's have a laugh about it. God, everything in life is so freaking serious at the moment. Lack of libido, it can be debilitating, it can be devastating, it can destroy relationships. But I think if we can somehow find the funny side of it, we can find our way back to wanting to have a shag. Because that's what it is. It's wanting to have a shag. It's having the urge to be turned on again. I don't have that urge right now because I'm menopausal. There you go. It's out there. I've said it. If I come up with a solution, I'm going to let you know about it. But for now, I'm just going to put it out there. So if anybody would like me to have a chat with you, I'm quite happy if you want to come on camera and do it with me. Let's talk. Let's talk about the experiences and how we feel and how, I don't know whether you're single, married, having an affair. Freaking hell. Thank God that's the one great thing is my husband's never accused me of having an affair because don't want to have sex. That's what it's all about. But I'm going to come up with a solution. And you know, there might be some menopausal experts out there who can say, oh, well, let me help you with this. People might have comments. But you know what? I'm putting it out there. I'm challenging women to come on, be interviewed, talk to me about it. Let's put it out there. Me and my half eyebrows. That's another thing we should need to talk about. So yeah, lack of libido. I don't fancy a shag. If you don't fancy one either, we're together. We're not alone. So let's stick together and have a good old laugh about it. Yeah, and I've got some pretty good, I've got some fantastic stories I want to tell you when I did have the urge. Some of the things that I got up to. So anyway, it's been great to introduce myself to you. Fingers crossed I will see more of you. But yeah, there you go. That's Emma's version of Don't Want to Shag. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. And how does my husband cope with it? I'm just really, really nice to him, and I'm not a bad cook. I'm a shit cook. What am I talking about? I give him hobnobs. There you go. It's lovely to chat to you. Hopefully we'll speak again soon. But listen, Menopausal Mayhem Mothers, also the Finding Me Again group where women do have a chat about it and lots of advice out there. But I just wanted to let you know that if you are feeling alone, you're not. And if you're a husband, get in touch. No, not to have evidently not to have sex with me because I don't have sex. I don't want to. Fuck. No, fuck. I can say fuck as much as I want because that's one thing I'm not going to be doing. There we go. Lots of love to you all. Let's destigmatize the whole thing. And I've just lost the end. So there we go. Professional YouTuber talking about not wanting to have sex. Hopefully I'll come out the other side and just be this relentless cougar. Oh, I live in hope. See you later.